Yeah, well, moms are in their rehab.
That's the dad's.
You know, so we'll see what happens. Freebird. Yeah, yeah, we had, well, you know, we need the extended stay at the hospital. See, they had her already in bed. She was there for a week and a half and they let her go back. And it all of a sudden, one day, she just, at least she had another stroke or something. They said she just stared, didn't say nothing, didn't, they said, we'd walk up to her and go, oh, you know, so since she had nothing. So that kind of makes that, but now she's getting better. I don't know. We keep telling them, learn how to push that button.
That was really my little sheet that I get off
It's easier to read. This is my intent, the lining of the committees and liaisons will make. Let me
sitting here when I get it. I don't get it. I'll sit there and hear. If they are, then I'll just say. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just.
I'll just.
I have no idea what happened.
But it's like, that's the really the thing I need, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then I'll probe you.
yeah. I don't remember that.
The only.
How are you?
Maybe they were a nice question. Stop traffic.
How are you? Good.
Everybody's nice. All of it is great.
Yeah, now remember, there's another new driver on Westfield.
Oh, that's right, she's 16, isn't she?
Yes, so. Yeah. Yeah.
Not on my direction, because I met her going back by my house. She's cruising the night.
She goes, hey, can I drive you over to the baseball practice? No. No. 3 hours, you're not driving the game at all.
She'll check again tomorrow.
We got the major bullet.
Yeah, I gotta find something else. Well, he kind of stuck.
This person. I heard it was like people, and they said, like that.
We waited long enough.
I was gonna say, I remember when they put it all over the list.
Not as gold as you thought it was gonna be. I bet it was cheap. Put on one of those things on. They just have the water pressure. So I think I kept the time chair, because didn't have enough to hold the other ones. They got, I guess they blew enough air, so that they saved that. Oh, no, we can't. They kept turning.
If everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
States of America. To the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I could mention a few items before we start. If everyone could please silence their cell phones. Our meetings are public and recorded. This is a business meeting, so we ask everyone to conduct themselves in a professional manner. Our city code allows for public comment up to 3 minutes, and for best sound quality, please pull these microphones down and lean into them to speak. So with that, we have a series of meetings this evening, and we'll kick off with finance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Call the Finance Committee to order at 6 p.m. Myself, Hannibal, Roniker, Schwarzkopf, and Peel, all present. Under new business, approval of prior month's meeting minutes, I would make that a motion from February 17th, 2025.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. CD information, again, we're a little bit ahead of the curve here. Our next CD that matures will be 5/16 of 25, and we will have the current rates for that appropriate meeting so that we can move on that. And that is $100,000 CD. Under your financial dashboard, everyone should have a copy of it. Just a real quick synopsis. We're at 83% of the fiscal year. To date, we are on the revenue side, plus $298,164. And on the expenditure side, we are actually at a savings of $3,620,988. So both of the reports are on the good side of where they need to be. FY26 budget and capital plans. Wasn't involved with it. I don't know, somebody want to take this one?
I think what we can do, Liz is here. Would you like to make a few comments and summary comments?
Yep, so the first set of information you have is the revenue and expenditure comparisons from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26. So it looks like revenue, we're bumping up overall $1.1 million. And then if you flip to your second sheet, that compares the expenditures from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26. And overall, we're increasing our expenses just under $2.5 million. So then the next set of documents you have is the whole budget line item by line item. You can put that aside. You can flip through that if you would like to go through every line item.
No.
But your next set of notes shows what items were not in the fiscal year 25 budget that were added, or any large increases that were added to fiscal year 26. So under general fund, under city hall, you have the building repairs for the interior and exterior, your elevator replacement if needed, and those were already those are already funded in the capital plan. Code admin, if a truck is needed, that's already funded. Your planning commission for the comprehensive plan, that's what we have left to spend, and that's already funded. The police vehicle will be already funded as well. And then a line item that was added that was not in last year's budget is the senior services line item. Mayor, would you like to add some detail to that?
Yes, we've been meeting the city, the YMCA, the college and the hospital, trying to figure out what senior services are available in our community. Because we know we cannot go out and build a senior center. We can't do these sort of things. We want to just simply collaborate with what's in the community and maybe augment those a little bit more. We'd like to find a volunteer coordinator. We're probably going to end up putting some ads in the newspaper, trying to promote some things. So there would be some expenses involved. Maybe we'll get some gift certificates for some participation. Just using what we've got in the community, promoting that and trying to get the seniors involved in the community.
And then under economic development and the Redbud Business Park, with talking with Jill, the mayor, and Mike in the economic development meeting, they were talking about a residential incentive program to start some seed money. Mayor or Mike, would you like to add any detail to that?
Nope.
Probably just a little bit like she said, seed money. How do we spur some more residential growth here? We don't have a solid idea, but get some money put aside. If somebody can come up with some other ideas, how to promote more growth from town. We also are on the edge of getting our comprehensive plan. So that also gives us a little bit of room to see what that produces if we need to promote more building in town.
And we talked about using surplus funds to do that for this next fiscal year. And then-
And real quick, Liz, and I don't want to interrupt, but I kind of got that conversation started after last month's meeting. Because I had been referred to that, you know, it's addressed in a lot of the emails amongst the council members that we need more affordable housing so that a lot of the people that are working here in town can stay in town or live here in town. With that being said, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can approach that. Some of the things that other municipalities are doing right now in Steelville, if you build a new house in Steelville, there's no property taxes for the first 5 years. They're foregoing all your property taxes. Sparta is in the process of buying 100 acres and they're going to develop it. And if you're willing to build a new house in Sparta, they're going to give away the lots. And I've been approached by Sparta to come over there and build some houses. So there are a lot of ideas out there. I think if you're looking for affordable housing, a few things would have to happen. Number one, a big chunk of the cost of developing a subdivision. It's kind of weird that I talk about this because I've done a couple of them here in town, but I'm done doing that. I'm not looking to do any more. So with that being said, I think, you know, the property cost is a huge amount of money. Then the next part of that development cost are the utilities and streets. And if you think about it, the city owns all that after a 2-year period anyway. So, you know, there might be a way that in conjunction with the city that you work on some of that infrastructure cost since you're taking ownership of it eventually anyway. Again, would be an idea. The other thing I think would have to happen if you look at affordable housing, you're probably going to, if you come up with a piece of property, you're probably going to want to modify some of the zoning for that area in either setbacks and or sizes of lots. And again, just putting my 2 cents worth out there. So, you know, a 1,600 square foot house right now in my subdivision is going to run you $330,000. That includes the lot, all the utility tap fees, everything. It's complete turnkey. Not a lot of options. It's got some upgrades, but not a lot. So, you know, again, at $330,000 at interest rates right now, I don't know if that is affordable for a lot of people. So again, if you're talking affordable housing, you're going to have to get that cost down somehow to make it readily available. And again, I think it's going to come through some either special variances of zoning, smaller lots, maybe even look at setback requirements to where you can get more lots per acre if that way that development cost goes down. My 2 cents worth.
What's the percentage cost of $330,000 house? What's the percentage of the streets and the tap fees and the lots? Like, is that a 20% of the total overall cost? How much would?
So, and I'll just
round numbers or anything.
Well, yeah, no, I'll do this because I just recently with phase 2. So my cost on each one of those lots is $30,000 to $32,000. I'm selling those lots from anywhere from 37 to 40. The larger corner lots are a little bit more expensive. So again, that's a pretty good idea where that comes.
Yeah.
Now that 30 to 32,000 includes, development costs of streets, water lines, sewer lines, so forth. The city, is providing the gas and or electric. And then, they're recouping a lot of that with the tap fees.
Yeah.
Because between tap fees and building permit on a house like that, you're between $6,500 and $7,000, and that's included into that price. But again, it's recouping those costs.
Okay.
That's included in your 37,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, or in the 330 for the
Okay,
total
yes,
cost.
but not in your.
Not in,
Lot, yeah.
no, those tap fees and everything are individual to each house because it goes
So-
by square footage and what all they're gonna
So
do
it's
for
more like
utilities.
45,000 roughly.
So,
Okay.
Well, when you talk affordable housing, are we talking just single family homes, or would we be better off to head in a direction where we get some developers come in and put some duplexes in, or?
don't know. And
Yeah,
that
no, I-
was one part of the
Yeah.
conversation
I
that
mean,
we had
that's
that
the
night.
only way
Right.
I can envision that we're gonna get affordable housing.
I drove through Westland the other day and, Westland or Aviston, one of the two, and there's some apartment buildings in those two towns too that, when's the last time we built an apartment building or anybody built an apartment building here in Redbud? It's
Yeah.
been,
Yeah, and it comes down, if you're looking at home ownership
yeah,
or if you're looking at rental property.
right.
Because there's a lot of multifamily units in Redbud. There
Yeah.
really is between Country Club and some of the
Yeah,
different,
but they're all pretty full.
well, yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
So,
But you're also
know.
getting, a duplex, you're gonna get $900 to $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I just think when we're talking affordable, it's not gonna be a single family home.
Right. And I look at that too, even working where I'm work and knowing some of what the other businesses and, if you're starting out and you're not getting paid $100,000 a year, you're not getting paid 60, you're looking at the 45 to $50,000 range. And I don't think a $330,000 house is affordable in my opinion. Nothing against, it's just not affordable for that type of a range. And I think that's where most of our industry that we do have in town, that's where they're starting out at and something like that. So there needs to be.
well,
something.
and again, you could look at part of what happened with mine. When I wrote the covenants, it was a minimum of 1,600 square foot. It had to have a certain amount of masonry on it. It had to have a basement or foundation, 2-car garage, those things. So, that all adds up.
Sure.
Waterloo back a few years ago had a plan where they were actually doing small lots, like 1,000 square foot house on it, and even detached garages where they enter them from the back from like an alleyway. And they had a proposal out there to try and develop that. Now, I don't think it ever went anywhere. But again, some of that could be changed in the restricted covenants for each one of those,
Sure.
of the subdivision or whatever you decided to look at.
So anyhow, we've got seed money. Probably want to move on with budget stuff. If we want to keep this conversation going at a future finance committee meeting or whatever it would be proper. Keep- Well, maybe economic development, yeah. Keep these ideas flowing.
I'm sorry, I took up too much.
No, that's
time.
fine. No, you guys are passionate. It's obvious you're passionate. This is good. We need to keep this level of energy with this. So Liz, can you keep going?
Sorry, Liz.
I mean, you can go, Rodney, I don't mind at all. Then the Red Business Park total project cost of 2.5 million is in there. We increased that from last year because the project has broadened in scope from that. So that's under general fund. So the next set of documents are for the proprietary funds and streets. These are all Josh's notes and what has the big items, the increase or decrease in budget. Josh, do you have anything to add to these?
Other than late last week, checking on a few of the items that had previously been approved, the truck equipment for 6, the truck 18. We've paid for the truck, but the truck is over at Napide for the bed, the spreader and all that. Some of that stuff is carrying over. It's not reflected in these notes since I basically found out about it on Friday. So I'm working with Liz to currently update those figures, account for what we've already paid for, lower those values, and Liz and I, we'll work on making sure we get that. So there is some updates on my end from some things, as well as, I got a proposal for some, building and grounds maintenance. We have some doors, as Rodney has seen, that are in pretty bad shape down there in like the chemical building, the sewer plant that are rusted, and trying to switch some of that. So I need to get that updated figures into the budget. So mine will, have some changes, that I'm working on that would probably be reflected then whenever we would maybe look at this next month again, just to give you a heads up.
And then there is a Parks and Rec Fund, summary of all of their expenses, nothing big in there. Pool maintenance. And such, and then the capital plans are all behind that, so if anybody has any questions on those, nothing really big was added to any of those. But if you want to go through them, and if anything catches your eye, and talk to me before next meeting. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. You are well more qualified than me to do that. Okay, any questions on the budget or capital plan at this point then?
No, I just wanted to thank Liz because this is a lot of work and a lot of numbers to compile. So you've got to be bleary eyed by this time of year, but thank you.
Okay, then moving on under new business, there are proposals in your packet from Illinois Country Harvest for the landscaping out here in front of City Hall, I believe. And there are two different options. Well, I guess the one option is a grand total of $816.30, and the other one is $1,036.30. And then I guess is that one is spring, one is fall, and one is winter?
There's a 1 and 2 for spring. The thought was to
Okay.
add some more height to get something a little bit more visible. So that adds the $130 and $90. That's the difference from option 1 to option 2 to get something a little more visible from the street.
One question, and I don't know, maybe I'm being overly cautious. With all the window work and everything that's going to be going on, do we want to do that this spring? Because we're going to probably have to move those. They're going to have a lift up there to get to all the upstairs work, and that those planters are going to have to get moved.
That is a really good point, and I had not taken that into consideration.
I mean,
Do you think
they
they'll
look
have to get-
great, but
Do you think they'll have to get literally moved?
I
out
think
of-
you're going to, because especially you get up to these upper windows,
You're gonna-
that scissors
be right
lift is
next to
gonna
the
have to
building.
be as close as possible, or you're never gonna be able to reach it. So yes, they're gonna probably need to be moved from the front of City Hall until that work's complete. Don't you agree, Jeff? I don't know what he's gonna plan.
Do you think
But
we
either
should-
one, you're gonna wanna drive on that front concrete relatively
Yeah.
close. Otherwise, you're gonna be too far away to change all those windows.
do you think possibly forego the spring planter and then just do a fall and winter?
Would be
Okay.
my suggestion if you're gonna
Okay.
move them anyway, because nobody, I don't know where
I
you're gonna
mean,
put them to see.
If they move them back early summer, you can always get somebody to plant
Something in it. Okay.
You know,
Just a thought.
but
No, that's a really good point, Rodney.
just another thing on that, Rodney, I looked down when I was coming in. Those things could probably use a little cleaning up too. The bottoms of them are getting rusty and, so that might be a good opportunity to, when they move them, that we maybe get them, I don't know, just touch them up or whatever you'd have to do. Yeah. Just a thought.
Do we need to make a move on the fall and winter projects at this point or not?
You could probably go ahead and approve them. That way she would know even to start ordering, planning for supplies and whatnot. And then I guess I've got a question going forward. We go through this year by year, and obviously this was a good exercise this year. Is this something that Jill can just do in future years or?
Less than $500.
I would think you just put a line on them in and say, okay, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
$2,000 a year of a line on them for your plans.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, and if it goes over that.
yeah, just put in
Yeah,
a
you
line
could-
item for,
actually, you
Sure.
could do a not to exceed 2,000, but
right,
bear in mind, spring, we're gonna have to work with it.
right.
Yeah.
If it
Okay.
goes over that,
Easy way to do it.
Then I would make a motion that we forego the spring planning, since we're probably gonna have to move them anyway. And go ahead and approve the fall and winter. The fall is $450, the winter at $485. And also make part of that motion that we put a line item in the budget each year not to exceed $2,000. And let Jill just work with it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, also in your packet is a request from Fort Charters, event booklet advertisement. You'll see the different rates that are on there. They have a full page ad offered at 1,000, half page ad at 500, quarter page at 250, and an eighth of a page ad at $100.
I could make a suggestion. What if we did the quarter page, but obviously as a city, we don't want to advertise our water, sewer and electric. But buy an ad, but let the chamber fill in, like from a business standpoint. And kind of do a joint sort of thing.
If we're gonna do that, we'll make it a half page, otherwise it's not gonna be.
Okay. Go for it.
Mike, is
Is
that a
this
motion? then?
something they've done in the past, or is it
Um,
something totally new?
I think they've been soliciting, I think they're casting a wider net to try and find more and more advertisers. As simply as what it is.
I'll make-
Because the booklet has existed for years.
I'll make a motion, we take a half page ad out in the booklet and coordinate with the chamber for the ad.
We have motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The next item, it was on or brought up at last month's meetings, is the request from the fire department to go ahead and purchase the truck. The estimated cost is $63,000, which will be paid for by the Red Bud Fire Department #1 funds. The Red Bud Fire Department #1 owns no vehicles as in the past. The vehicle will be titled 50% split between the city of Red Bud and Red Bud Community Fire Department or Rural Fire Department. There is a cost sheet that is attached with all the fees and so forth. It comes to $62,970, and that's why they rounded it to $63,000.
But they're not requesting money, they just want requesting.
That is correct. They're paying it for it out of their funds. Do we still need to make a motion on that?
We have in the past, I believe, since,
They always have.
Okay. All right, I would make a motion that we authorize fire department, #1 to proceed with the $63,000 truck and equipment, titles, fees and so forth.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Being very long-winded, I will adjourn Finance Committee at 6:21.
okay, thank you, Rodney. Next up is Personnel Committee.
All right, I call Personnel Committee to order at 6:21. I have myself, Peel, Dozier, Gilbert, and Reinecker here. We have no old business under new business and make the motion that we approve the prior month's meeting minutes from February 17, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we have the volunteer month contributions. I think everybody's got a new packet here. In the past, we donated to the Community Foundation of Red Bud. We donated $20 in everybody's name. We have 30 volunteers in the city right now. So same as what we did last year, $20 contribution by every member. Everybody's fine with that. I make the motion that we contribute $20 per person for $600 total.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Next, we got a training request for Jill Landgraf, the Leadership Institute for the new manager administrator on May 22nd, 2025. It looks like total training expenses is not to exceed $500. That is for meals and lodging. I make the motion that we, for not to exceed $500, send Jill this training.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments, anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I'll close personnel at 6:22.
Okay, next up is public health and safety.
We'll call the public health and safety at 6:23. Myself, Reinecker, Giebert, Evoy, and Dojan are all present. No old business, new business. I'll make a motion. We approve the February 17th, 2025 minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the departmental activity report. You've all got a copy of it in your packet. Anybody got any questions for John? Okay. And next is a training request for John Brittingham for the ILEAS conference, March 30th through April 2nd. He's actually going to be attending this before it hits the council meeting, but he goes every year, so. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we send John Brittingham to the ILEAS conference in Springfield on March 30th through April 2nd. Not to exceed $600.80.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote.
Hey.
Motion carried. Public comments, anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, will adjourn at 6:24.
Okay, next up is cultural committee.
I call cultural committee to order at 6:24 PM. Myself, Damon, Reinecker, Giebert, and Dojan are all present. We have no old business. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes from February 17th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Chamber of Commerce 2025 calendar of events as presented in our packet this month.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Redbud Area Museum to sell donuts at the four-way stop on Saturday, April 12th, 2025 from 8 AM to 12 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. There's also bringing back the vendor ordinance for the ice cream truck. Was it about a year ago or so?
Last summer.
Last summer that, I forgot who it was.
Staples.
Tom Stiebel. Yeah, the Stiebels were wanting to know if we can get something changed in the ordinance. But the mayor and I have talked, and we thought that there's a little section of the city code in our packet this month that if we, by special permission of the city council, we can grant we can grant the discretion to let them operate their ice cream truck on the city streets. So I would like to make a motion that we give the Stiebels special permission to operate their ice cream truck on Redwood streets.
Is that Stiebels or anybody at all?
They're the ones asking,
Case
so
by
it'd be
case.
case by case.
By special permission, so each
Yeah.
one would have to. The only question I would.
Yep.
It would have is there going to be any kind of regulations to it? I mean, does like hours that they can operate or?
They would probably be under the existing regulations. I can't quote
Okay.
those off the top of my head.
And if they're.
Oh, 7 to 10? Yeah.
I mean, if they're gonna be on the streets, I guess would be my next.
It is-
one.
it is
there
farther
any
down here.
Safety issues we need to look at or?
Yeah, it is B.
Yeah.
7 AM.
What do you think, John?
Well, imagine on the side street. I mean, I was a kid when the ice cream truck would come by. You know, they would stop there. I don't think there'd be a problem on side streets.
Okay.
Obviously,
just-
they're not gonna stop on the highway. That would
Well,
be a-
that's
that'd be an issue.
my question,
Right.
you know?
So
And you-
make sure they know not to be stopping on any highways or anything like that.
And you could have a one-on-one with them and describe the
Yeah,
proper
say, You know,
operation.
here's the deal. Yeah,
Right.
just, yeah.
Do we, just another thing throwing out, thinking of the 7 to 10 PM, I mean, do we go in as far as to limit, like 8 PM or 9 PM? Because I don't know how many people want the ice cream truck music going down the streets at 10 PM at night, I don't know, something to talk about. Or
I mean,
if we
I-
just leave it go as 7 to 10 and they most likely won't be doing
And-
that.
Right.
Are we just gonna evaluate this each time they want to do this, or are they formally requesting all summer long, or what? I don't exactly understand
You would
what
be,
we're after.
you would be
right now.
granting the Stiebels access to do this. They would be the only ones. Anybody else would have to come one by one and make that request.
That's for all summer long, yeah.
Where does it say Stiebel's anywhere in the packet? Am I
It
missing?
doesn't, they,
It
remember
doesn't.
when he was here last
They were here last year.
July, unless maybe you were at, maybe you missed that meeting.
I mean, I might not have, but I figured it'd be something from them particular
Well,
asking for permission.
here, I've got the minutes.
Because I
Let
mean,
me,
what's gonna stop everybody else from coming from wherever? I don't know.
let me catch you up here. Tom and Abigail, this is July 1st of last year.
Okay.
Tom and Abigail Steibel addressed the council to ask for permission for a license to operate an ongoing in-season ice cream truck business in the area. Mr. Steibel requested that the city review Waterloo's ordinance regarding food truck requirements and licenses. He feels it is a particularly good model. And then I had asked him to leave his contact information and we would get back to them.
Okay.
And then the summer quickly turned into grant season, which turned into fall and winter,
Okay.
and now here we are at the spring again, so.
Okay.
But yeah, you're granting special dispensation, so you can make the rules as you go along with it.
We're really not sure they're even interested anymore.
True, but
Yeah.
my understanding is they still have the truck. But until there's some discussion here, I didn't want to go to them either and say.
They would be issued a license, correct?
Yes, they'll have to go through the license, and actually,
So that has to be displayed on the vehicle, I'm assuming?
yes, they would be under all food truck normal
So if
licensing.
there's somebody else shows up in town, all.
They still have to come here and apply for a license, yeah,
Okay.
and all that.
Right.
This was, and as Mayor and I were talking, this is only because they want to do it on the streets and be mobile.
Okay.
Where everything else, I think, has to be.
Okay.
At a spot. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion that we approve their special permission for Tom and Abigail Steibel to operate their ice cream truck.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. One last thing from Cultural Committee, the Redwood Fire Department, has special requests all surrounding their picnic. You guys can read it in the packet. I'd like to just make a motion that we accept all the requests from the Redwood Fire Department regarding the picnic and the parade. So I'd like to make that a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other public comments, anything for the good of the city? I'd like to adjourn the Cultural Committee at 6:31.
Okay, thank you. Public Works is up next.
I call the Public Works at 6:31 on their old business power plant report.
You don't have to-
Oh. With myself, Dojan, Hannibal, Schwarzkopf, and Reinecker are all present. Then I go on their old business power plant report.
It's been the generating runs per our schedule. We were notified that, our Rice NESHAP testing, has been scheduled for June 9th and 10th. Those dates were given to IMEA, for the urge testing scheduling. And then I've also contacted BHMG, who will also be on site during that time for our annual Method 9 opacity smoke testing, reading, whatever they got to do. So, just that's kind of what's going on there. So we'll be having that. And that NESHAP was that proposal you guys, had been previously approved. That is in next year's budget.
Okay, under utilities and streets.
The electric side, planning work for the Redbud Business Park. And then I have received the preliminary cost estimate for the new proposed substation. That was the design work BHMG was doing, getting that together. Haven't really had a chance to really dive through it a whole lot yet. And then, I'll be reviewing that and seeing where we need to go and try and meet back with them as to what maybe next steps would be or however we wanted to handle that. Under gas, there's no update. I'll skip water real quick, sewer and streets. The only thing in streets, we completed crack sealing last week. We did crack seal, the walking trails, 4th Street, from Locust down to the park, all of Lincoln Park. And the walking trail also from Swick area down to Stephen, and the Rats Park entrance and exit, as we will be sealing those as part of our permanent street program this summer. So that's really all I have there. On the water side, the water tower asset management program, I know I wasn't able to be at the February committee meetings. And I just kind of gave a brief update on everything on where we're at with this possible asset management program. And I have Darren Clark here with McGuire Iron to be able to, give some more information in regards to this program and then be able to answer any questions that you guys may have about the program. or what it may entail for us. So Darren, if you'd like.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, council, everyone, for having me in tonight. My name is Darren Clark. I represent McGuire Iron, for the state of Illinois. I live in Springfield. I was born and raised in Southern Illinois, in Pinckneyville, so nobody will hold that against me. But I am a nationally or globally recognized coatings expert when it comes to looking at steel structures like water towers and writing specifications and making sure you're compliant with OSHA, EPA on down the line. We've been in business for over 100 years. We are a family-owned business, and we are taking care of customers all around the state of Illinois and the Midwest. I've been working and known Josh for quite a long time. And like I said, I did inspect both of your guys' towers. So if anybody has any questions about the tanks or about the program that we have laid out for you, I encourage you guys to ask. It's a lot of information. And that's why I'm here, is so I can clear up any questions or concerns you might have about your critical piece of infrastructure and very visible piece of infrastructure.
So I guess I guess explaining the whole process probably would help of what you're proposing. Josh kind of explained some of it, but I guess given an overall
Sure.
process of what this is.
Okay. Well, the process starts out as it was.
I
They have
understand
this in front of them. so
Okay,
I can
so you
reference
guys
that.
do have well, what everybody says, just get to the important part, right? The money. The process starts out with me climbing the tanks, inspecting the tanks, making sure you're compliant with OSHA, EPA on down the line. The program that we've laid out for you is a capital improvement plan, asset management plan, okay? Where the tanks will be 100% warranted and guaranteed while under our program, okay? Part of me doing the inspection, the reason I do the inspection is to avoid change orders, unless you guys are the one municipality in the state that likes them. I haven't found one yet. Most do not. What I mean by that is all the repairs needed to be done. We've incorporated into this program and laid it out financially that would work for you folks. If we get into doing the work and we find something that we missed, it comes out of our pocket, not out of yours. So there's not anything that isn't covered under the asset management program, except for acts of God and terrorism. Acts of God, earthquakes, tornadoes, terrorism. If somebody were to get in it, and I won't go down that road. I think everybody gets all that. But you have insurance for tornadoes and earthquakes, okay? So what we're gonna do here is recoat the tanks and bring them up to compliance code and get them back in a like new condition, okay? We assume the risk and liability of those tanks. If paint was to start falling off for some unknown reason, 3 years down the road, we come back and fix it. We don't charge any more money. Okay, the numbers that are laid out for you are fixed numbers. They cannot adjust any higher than what they are right there. You will see that they do adjust annually. It's capped at 5%. Okay, but it cannot go any higher. So if you go back a few years, COVID hit, we're in the high interest rates, right? Anybody and everybody who was under this program, one of your neighbors, Smithton, who we saw inflation go through the roof, well, we ate those costs. We didn't come back to you, the customer, because we have an agreement in place to protect your piece of equipment, okay? So in the event of any issues that were to arise or go wrong, you have one throat to choke, that would be mine, okay? So, trying to think if there's anything. We start out with the plan, we lay it out in the first few years where we bring the tanks back up to new condition, inside, outside, all together, right? 10, 12 years down the road, we're gonna come back and paint it again, only at a much smaller figure that is laid out for you, okay? As you've been applying this asset management fee and staying under it, you never come back to the great big lump sum of money, okay? It is a GASB 34 approved accounting method. If you guys use the GASB 34 accounting method here for financing, what that does is it helps you with things like your ISO rating, potentially lowering your insurance with the fire department. It also helps your bond rating because now it is not a depreciating asset. It's going to maintain its value, okay? Let's see, is there anything else I'm missing? We do provide you with all the engineering. The state requires that there are people like myself to oversee the projects, and we are required to either pay prevailing wage or union wages. So we follow the rules and guidelines very serious. As my 16 years have shown, the regulations are getting nothing but tighter. So especially when you're dangling 150 feet in the air, you want to make sure you're following all the rules and regulations because we all want to go home at the end of the night. So.
Darren, just real quick I remember from our conversation, and I believe, so they can be aware that part of, if we ever had to do a full containment, tent it, put a big tent over top, that is not part of.
That's correct. There are, with your style of tank, what we call a pedosphere. There are potential change orders, but those are down the road. One of them is what we call an expansion joint. Those tanks move, they sway, but there's a riser pipe on the inside. It actually moves, okay? Much like a valve in the ground, it will go out. When, couldn't tell you, okay? And that's why we don't incorporate it into this. The riser pipe or fill pipe, the water that goes up into the tank and comes back out and feeds the community, that's encapsulated in insulation, right? So we can't actually inspect that. So it isn't covered. But what we can do is if there needed to be a renovation or replacement, we can take those costs, spread them out. That makes it much easier on your budget, okay? That one wouldn't be covered. And like Josh talked about, putting up the containment system, okay? The EPA doesn't allow for open air sandblasting, okay? Any air or land was to leave your property, you can be held liable for illegal dumping or air pollution. So that's why you have to have the containment system, okay? But those aren't included because if you catch the tanks prior to them needing sandblasted, you can overcoat them. And when I say overcoat them, we use a particular type of paint. It's called dry fall that we all could go park our cars underneath it. And when it hits our cars, we could go by and wipe it off. The reality is nobody does, right? But we handle all the detailing, any kind of issues like that. If there's any kind of overspray to any kind of houses, cars, anything like that, that would be our responsibility to take care of. Okay.
So I guess everybody's got the sheet here. So what you're stating here is that we're looking at $213,000 for the first 3 years, I guess is what it is.
Be 218 once you include the other. tanks.
Right, I understand, sure. And then it goes to 187, 180, 190, and then down from there. So this is a 12-year assessment.
Well, this right now from the conversations, the reason those are higher now is obviously because you have to get these back into compliance.
I understand. You're going to come in and
this
so
is-
when would you come in and do the repairs to the water towers?
We're going to do, so to use the 500, well, they're both, the 500, the first, that's the south tank.
The 500 is the
north tank. Okay. So to use that one as the example, right? We're going to come in year one and we're going to completely renovate entirely everything.
Okay.
That is the 213,000. You paid that in year one.
Okay.
That's 30 days after the work is done. In year two, you start making payments on the rest of that renovation in year two, and then in year three and down the line. Okay. But everything will be done in year one, inside, outside, dry interior, and all the repairs are going to be brought back up. Okay. And get you back into code.
Okay, so then that's just one tower?
That's just one
that's
tower.
the first 3 years. It'd be this tower. You pay that, you do the cost, split over a 3-year period. That one's done. Years
Okay.
4, 5, and 6, we take care of the south tower. Then that one's done. And then you're getting to where you see all of a sudden the annual fees drop off significantly from 200 down to 190 down to like 50, 60.
So I guess my point, or I guess what I'm asking is, it's 218 for the first 3 years to do that tower.
Correct.
And then the next 3 years would be the 187 or what for the south tower
The 153.
for the next 3
Yeah,
years.
correct.
Yeah, approximately. I understand.
Yeah.
So that's what we would be looking at for the south tower to be done then.
Correct.
And then approximately, what is the lifespan of this coating and stuff when you do these? I mean, is it, I don't know how long, when's the last time anything was done? And I understand there's no guarantee of anything, but I mean, an approximate
Right.
span of what,
So when you have a brand new tank is the longest life cycle you're ever going to get out of the coatings. After that, it's exposed to the environmental conditions,
Sure.
the swaying, rocking on down the line. So after year one, if you look at the top line, okay, you'll see it's highlighted in yellow. In year one is when we're going to do that entire tank, right? To answer your question, usually you see around 10, 12, sometimes 15 before you have to overcoat again. Anytime after the 12 range, 15 years, you start to get along that edge where you are going to have to sandblast it. Okay. Eventually you will have to sandblast it because there's too many mils of paint on it and it gets too heavy and it'll fall off. But if you look out here in year 11, this is where I had just thrown it in there and that's why it's yellow. Under that 44,000 is when we would come back and completely do the outside of that tank. You wouldn't pay any more than that 44,000. Okay. 2 years more down the road is when we would come back in and blast out the inside of the tank and do a completely brand new interior. Okay. It is a 1-year agreement. Okay. I show you 12 just so I can show you the future renovation and what you would be paying under it. Okay. But the city's free and clear to walk away at any time. All right.
Okay.
It is a 1-year evergreen agreement that auto renews, but you guys can walk away from it free and clear. Okay. The way that I designed this is for the first 3 years is to keep the cost down.
Sure.
These programs are designed differently, like Smithton, who is a customer of ours and on this program, theirs is designed differently because the finances are done differently. And that's why if you look down at the bottom, you can see that it's even broken up between meter costs, right? Sometimes people will do it, communities will do it based upon that. So there's several different ways to design it, but this is just the way I designed it for you guys. Okay. But yes, under the other tower, if you look at the bottom line, we're going to do it in the 2028, right?
Okay.
So right now, we're going to come in and do visuals, washouts, visuals, anything like that. But that figure is locked in. So no matter what happens here, if inflation skyrockets again, these figures are locked in and we're going to come in 2028 and paint that tank, completely rehabilitate it and take care of it. In the meantime, if anything were to happen with it, a weld seam pop, okay, somebody shoots it with a gun, anything, okay, people do shoot them with guns. It will pierce those tanks. But that would fall under this program and we would come back and fix it and we wouldn't charge you any additional funds. Okay. It's part of the program.
Okay.
Okay.
With the second tank only getting painted once, I'm assuming it's got better paint on it right now than the other one?
No, it's actually going to keep getting painted. I just didn't show it to you on this program right here. I didn't lay out the 12 or 10 years down the road.
So it'd be like year 16 or something.
Correct. So
Somewhere
if you
there.
take that same model out 10 years from 2028, 2038 is when the tank would be painted again. And all you got to do is take that in year 12, that 23,000 annual fee. If you just annually maxed it out at 5%, that's the cost you'd be looking at in 2038 to paint the second tank. Okay. Now I say 5%, it's actually 4% in the new, in our new agreements. But it's capped. It cannot go any higher.
So you have already gone down and inspected everything
Yes.
as of currently, and what state are our water towers in?
Let it fly.
Yeah, I mean, there is some.
So, what I'll tell you is they're not the worst. They're in pretty good shape. Okay. I've seen a lot worse, if that makes you feel any better, but they're in good shape. They're doing what they're designed to do. There was one issue, and I think it was on the north tank where, during my inspection, I was looking at it and some of the steel is corroded to the point where you could actually push on it and go through it. Okay. And it's that's one of those things that I found just from doing my inspection, because we're going to be able to incorporate that into the program and get it fixed for you. Had you not been looking at this right now, it could have deteriorated even more and you could be looking at a pretty big expense. But right now your tanks are looking really great. Okay. They do need some rehabilitation. The coatings have served their current life, as in you're on that border to where it can be overcoated or sandblasted, but they're doing exactly what they're designed to do, which is protect your drinking water that services the community and its customers. Okay.
Josh, when was the last time these tanks were touched?
Before my time. I think there was one time they were cleaned
20 years probably. Since they.
15 years ago before I was here. They were cleaned. They weren't recoated or anything, I know, but
I mean, I remember them being
I
done,
remember that one
but
being
I can't
tinted.
tell you when,
I
but it's
can't
been a
tell you
long
when.
time ago. But that's about all I could say.
Well,
Do they get visual?
my guess would be around 93, because that tank used to say Singer on it. Did it? Or it said, huh?
Started in 95.
It was after that. Well, I'm just saying somewhere in that area.
It's
'Cause
been a
that's
while.
when that logo came off.
And naturally, the longer you wait, the more this cost goes up
Right.
as anything
What
else.
I can tell you right now is that if you wait and you go to a blast, just start at $100,000. That's not even talking about everything else.
Right.
The containment alone is anywhere from 100 to 125,000, given the size of your tanks.
Sure.
So that's your starting point. So right now you're already
Okay.
there.
Do we get visual inspections every year right now or every 2 years? We don't currently.
So what the state requires, the state doesn't actually have a rule or law. Okay. They follow the AWWA recommendations, which is to have your tank cleaned out once every 5 years. It's just a recommendation. I've been doing this for 16 years and I've been to towns that have never done it. Okay. The The idea of doing the visual and the washouts, right, is one, we want to protect it for you, but we're also protecting our investment, right? So the more that this thing is looked at and the more things are caught, the longer
Sure.
life cycle you're going to get out of it. Think about anything else in our lives that we do preventative maintenance on, right? I just got rid of a 407,000 mile F-150.
Right.
Preventative maintenance. Luckily got me there.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. So the visuals are what I perform. Okay, we send somebody out. The ROV is a remote operated vehicle. All right, we'll swim a robot around if he doesn't want to take the tank out of service. And the washout is when you drain it down, you get in, you pressure wash, clean out all the mud, the silt and the sand that collects on the inside of them. And that's what the tanks are designed to do. Okay. And your tank is performing as it is intended to do. One of the tanks, we do have to take some extra precautions with because it does have lead-based paint. Okay. But that's what we're here for. And we got to make sure that we dispose of it and neutralize it and handle it properly. Okay. We take care of that. We also take care of any of the permits that would needed to be done. There isn't anything that we don't do. As a water tank manufacturer, we build them, right? We take them down and do everything in between. We're a jack of one trade and a master of it. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I see you also have on here exterior cleaning, like on year 4. So you inspect it. If it needed to be cleaned, you guys would come back and clean them, or do you just
Yep.
automatically clean them after?
It's
4 or
part of
5
it.
years?
And
Okay.
so, I mean, you see the mold and mildew that's growing on
Mhm.
right
Right.
now, okay? So basically what happens is that tank sweats. The idea is when the tank sweats, it should wash itself off. But whenever there starts to be anchor points in the tank and the paint starts to degrade, it creates anchor points and the dust can collect on it. And that's what creates that mold. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's say, with a festival coming up or something like that, you guys are like, hey, we want that thing really shining, looking good. Well, we would just move that up and come out and we would take care of it and pressure wash and get it all clean for you.
And do you guys also, like on the painting, if there's a design that wants to get that they want painted on it, do you guys also do that kind of stuff?
Yes, I think, I don't know, did you ever? share
I
that?
kind of showed him, I had the packet, I think some of you, I know Ben had looked at it, but I gave him the older logo. With the lights, the street lamp and all that instead of City Redbud. And he had actually given me a rendering of what it could look like with that on there. And what it could look like from 1.5 miles, 3/4 of a mile, 1/4 of a mile, what it looks like from, just down the block. We have options. When we want to do that from a logo standpoint. Right now, I think we have one, down there, we have nothing on that tower. But, you could come up with, what you want to do,
But it would all come from, it could all come from you. It wouldn't, it's not a separate company that would have to do that. kind of
Nope,
stuff.
correct. Yep,
Okay.
we handle it all.
Okay.
So one question, I just want a clarification. So you said you can do this for 1 year or any amount of years that you want. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what I just did some figures on after the 4th year, you're showing painting the second tank. So if we carried that out to the 5th year, we'd have an investment of $1,059,000. And at that point, if we said, hey, we want to be done, we can stop it.
as long as we've got the second one paid off, because that's set up to pay off over the 3
years.
So if we were to get out in 4 after they do that tower, we would be on the hook for the remaining 300,000 to finish out them costs, because that's how there's a cost savings for us to split that over 3 years.
Yeah.
But if you say after year 6 and we have everything done, you wanted to walk away, we got both of our towers done, you could walk away.
What they're saying is we're paying for this over a 3-year span when they come in and do it. Instead of forking it all out at one time.
Any extra.
We're making
years or
3.
A maintenance plan, basically.
Right, and then it's a maintenance plan. So basically, we're paying for this to be done over a 3-year span. Over 3 years, I should say.
What I did is took the 5 years and added the totals that he's got
Right.
on the bottom page.
Well, it's 3 years for the first one and 3 years for the next one.
It's the same total for 3 years.
Right, that's what I did. I took all 3 of the 218s,
Okay.
187 and the 188.
And then you got.
And then another 190. Yeah.
Well, at the 5th year, if you got out of it after the 5th year is what I would say.
Yeah, but then we'd have to pay the 190.
We still have to pay the 190 though, because it's 3 years on both towers, 3 years for each tower.
Well, let's just focus on one tower, okay? So let's just say that the reason why it's the 190 is because you still have them both in there, okay? If you wanted to quit in year 5, right? And we've already done the first tank, right? The first 3 years, and you've just paid a couple annual fees. You just cancel and you walk away from that, okay? In year 5, if you quit on the second tank, after we've done the complete renovation, then we're gonna call the money due remaining on the balance, and that's it, and you could walk away.
Which at that point technically is not the 190, it'd be the 153 to finish painting that tank.
Correct. You got the 153 and the 153.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was kind of my question. This isn't an all or none proposal.
No, you can do either
We could
tank.
do the North Tower.
Yeah, you can do the, yeah, the only thing
I'm not
about,
saying that's the right thing to do. I'm just
I show them both, so
Right.
you can see that, because
see where we're at.
if you come back 3 years from now, 153 is not gonna be there.
Right.
The price is gonna change,
Sure.
right? And so what you're doing is you're protecting yourself. Now, what you can also do is it also helps by having something like this. It essentially helps keep the rates down for you because now you know what your expenses are, especially with a fixed cost like this.
But in year 5 or in year 4, when you're doing your visual, like you said, if you see a seam that's eroded or corroded worse than what you expected, you fix that for free.
Yep.
It's already rolled in.
Correct.
Okay.
Doesn't cost you.
Or if we go to year 12, anytime during that, you fix that and there's no extra cost from us.
Correct. Except for the 3, right? That we talked about, the
Yeah.
expansion joint, containment, and the riser. Those are the only surprises. The other question I get that nobody's asked yet is what kind of paint am I gonna use, right? Well, and the joke that I always make is, what's it matter if I have my kids come out and finger paint it, right? If the paint falls off, I gotta fix it. Now that wouldn't be ideal because the more times I come out, that's not good. So we're gonna use whatever paint you wanna use, right? There's a lot of good paint manufacturers out there, Sherwin-Williams, Tnemec, Enduron, whomever you guys want, okay? We can use whomever you want, right? So, but that's a typical question we get. It is 100% warranted and guaranteed for coatings and the labor while you're under this agreement. So whether it's in year 1 or year 10, doesn't make any difference, okay? The 3 potential change orders are the only thing that you're susceptible to, along with terrorism and acts of God.
And that's something we can always, once we kind of get through this, if this is what route we want to go, we add some extra money into the capital plan for those items. So they're not the surprise hits. I mean, it'll be a surprise hit because we weren't expecting it to happen, but we would have the money sitting there ready to go.
The biggest expense you're gonna have on a surprise like that is gonna be the containment. Okay, chances are that the riser pipe is gonna be completely bad. It's gonna be pretty minimal, okay? That would be your second biggest change. The expansion joints, I say peanuts, but I mean, it's $25,000 to $35,000. In the grand scheme of things, that
Right.
it wouldn't, if I took 25,000 out of here, you wouldn't even notice it. But that's just one of the things, but we can always take those and spread them out and work with you. And if this isn't the budget that you want, we can redesign it if it's a plan that you'd like to move forward with it. These things can be changed. They're moving, but they're locked in, if that makes sense.
You mentioned people shooting them and terrorism, what you don't cover. What about vandalism?
Yeah, graffiti, we'd cover it too.
Okay.
So working in the piping industry, do you do maintenance plans on the expansion joints and those that you don't cover? So that way we know a year or 2 ahead of time that, hey, it's looking like you're going to be needing to replace it?
No, because I could show you one and you
Right.
would think, wow, that thing's working. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, yep, seems to be working. And then I could show you another one and you're like, that one doesn't work. And yeah.
Okay.
So unfortunately not. That's why we don't include it.
Mhm.
I mean, we could take the cost of one of those and put it in there if you like, and then you don't ever have to worry about it. Same with the containment, but my suggestion about something like the containment is we don't know what the future holds and we don't know what the regulations are gonna be. If you remember back in the day, I mean, I'm 50. Back in the day, remember they had the Flowbee, right? You get your hair cut and they had the vacuum cleaner and it would be sucking it up. How do you know that they're not gonna have something like that coming down the road? We don't know. So I would
Right.
say something like the containment system.
Yeah.
And as far as the riser pipe, same scenario. You could have that riser pipe in there, could last 100 years. It just depends on how corrosive the water is, but working down here, I don't see it that much. Up north, I see it a lot more.
Do you do wall thickness tests on it to know how, if
Yeah.
there is any? Okay.
Yep, we can do steel thickness all throughout the tank. That's not a problem. I carry
A mill gauge.
yep. Mhm.
Josh, I've got a question for you. So basically, in the first 6 years, if you just focus on the 3-year amortization of each tank, it's a little over $1 million we're gonna spend on tanks. Cash flow wise, how are we looking?
I mean, from the standpoint of, we have money in the capital plan now to get us going, but with that rate increase that we had, that what we had put into place, plus with year 1 and year 2 and projecting those numbers out, that's where I was saying, okay, well, we're gonna make up some of that ground to be able to have. And then, you know, it almost becomes a maintenance line item, if you will, rather than a capital line item, to where you're kind of having that extra cost there to where it's just a monthly type fee for you, rather than, oh, we gotta come up with $530,000 right now to.
There's
take care of it.
375 in it right now.
So.
According to this.
Right.
One other question I had was at year 13, since this is working on a 12-year, does it start back over to hypothetical numbers, 215
No,
again,
you
or
never go back to that giant cost ever again.
you never do?
Never do. So
Okay.
you're 45,000 out there in year 12. Just take it by 5%. That's what year 13 is.
Oh, okay,
You take year 13 to get your 14 by 5%.
okay,
Never come back to that great big chunk of money that you got to come up with ever again. So that's why I would say that
Okay.
it can help with kind of like rate structure, because you can predict down the road where you're going to be at. Not only, you know, this asset is taken care of, but where are the rest of them at? So it's a piece of the
That's-
roadmap.
okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
You know, so like what he's saying, you know, what we talked about would be, you know, if a recode costs $135,000, well, we paid 45.
Right.
You know, because we kind of prepaid for it, or, you know,
Right.
so it's like. you
So that's
said,
the insurance you were talking.
correct. It's kind of
You
like.
were explaining it to
insurance
us.
plan, you know,
Yeah.
so it's,
Okay.
Kind of inflation proofing it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, we took it on the chin there for a little bit during.
Yeah, you never know what the steel market's gonna do.
And it was it was kind of brutal, because there was also a paint shortage at the same time, because you might not remember it or followed it, but all those paint companies down in Houston froze because Houston, Texas had all snow and freezing and all that. So yeah, we took a beating. But that's the guarantee, the warranty, and that's part of it, right? Yeah. You mentioned insurance, and you know, some people I work with, they don't like that analogy, but I personally like it, because in our health insurance, our home insurance, we only use it when we need it, right? You're getting a return here, and it's a protected return. It's a guarantee. You're putting in, you're getting something back out of it. Right now, my health insurance, I'm not getting anything out of it, or my homeowners or whatever. But so that's why I like it.
How long are these numbers good?
We've been holding them for 90 days, is what we've been. We've been at this probably since what, November, just
yeah,
October?
we've been working on it for quite a while. Like I said, I just got the numbers before last meeting, so.
Yeah. So, you know, we're not gonna jump on them and change them. Everybody in here, I'm sure, is aware of what's going on, right? With the news, the tariffs, things like that. Because my biggest concern was steel. What's gonna happen with steel? Well, I was like, okay, because municipalities have to do BABA, right? The Buy America, Build America. And we abide by that as well. The problem I've been told is now, since there is a tariff coming on incoming steel and aluminum, the steel and aluminum companies in the US will slow down production so that there will be less of it, therefore creating that extra cost to us anyway. So whenever that does take hold, we're projecting about a 20% increase there, just to let you guys know. And that doesn't account for anything else that might be coming in, like if you're working in the pipeline industry, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
we
gonna
saw
be,
20, 25, 30% the last
Yeah.
time the tariffs all came, so I understand.
yeah, there's gonna be, we're talking about blast abrasive, equipment, a lot of stuff that, even though we do build America, buy America equipment, some of the companies don't keep production up. They'll slow it down so that they can raise those rates. So 90 days is what our pricing has been held for. And they won't be changing it right now. I'll do my best to hold it in place for you if this is something that you guys still want to look into and pursue. But I at least wanted you guys to be aware of what we're looking at with the tariffs, because I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I wasn't sharing that with you folks as well. So, and I think that's important.
Should we move forward at some point, how quick would you guys be able to work on the water tower, paint it, and how long does that process take to get it done?
Do you want the real answer or the answer I give you? That's my joke only because typically for a tank that size, the 500, you could be anywhere from 5 to 7 to 8 weeks long. Okay. The reality, it could probably be 3 to 5 weeks. Okay. And the reason why I make that joke is because when I give you the real answer, everybody's like, yes, 3 weeks. That's awesome.
Right.
When I give you the other answer, you're like, man, he said 8 weeks. This guy, yeah. We're at the mercy of a lot of weather.
Sure.
And that becomes the problem. It's a lightning rod. And I don't care what anybody has told me. I'm not going to be on it in a lightning storm. They tell me that I won't be hurt, but I don't believe that. And I'm not going to test that theory. But what we do is we would communicate with Josh on that and find out, hey, when is your biggest usage, right? Maybe you don't want to take it down in a particular part of time because you have a high consumption rate, right? It will get too cold eventually later on in the years because of condensation and you can't paint won't stick, okay? So there are those factors. We're going to be working right down the road in Lindsberg this year, painting their tank and working on their tank, okay? Operationally wise, I don't handle that, but if I did, I'd be like, okay, well, it looks like we're going to be in Lindsberg at this time. Can we get Redbud in? Sure. So, it's one of those hypothetical things. If you guys move forward and I got an agreement back in April, who knows? They might call and say, hey, let's do this in May if it works for your schedule. But yeah, no, that's a great question. I would say 8 weeks on the 500,000 gallon and then 6 weeks on the 200 down the road. Okay. But I'm giving you the long dates on that because these guys will come in. It's migratory work. And what I mean by that is they go from north to south. They don't go east and west, and everything's migrating to the north right now. And it's once they get up in Minnesota and it starts getting too cold, they start coming back down. Great thing about Southern Illinois, Friday it was 80 and Saturday we had snow. So you just don't know, right? But usually by next week, 2 weeks, usually we're sitting pretty good down here. But good question. Yeah.
Josh, I think my suggestion would maybe be if you sit down with Liz and look at these numbers and come up with a plan for us of how we're going to pay for this and where we're going to pay for it from. I think that would give us all a little better perspective of, is this something we should jump at or? Because I don't want to sit here and say, yeah, this sounds great. And we do it. And next year we're sitting here going, where are we going to get that money from? I'd like to have a little bit of plan.
Right. I've looked at it, but I'll get some, try and get.
Yeah,
some
just get the
details.
numbers together for us so that we got something to kind of base it on. And I know there's money in the capital plan and I know we just raised water rates, so that should help a little bit.
Like I said, so we did that over two, so you're trying to pick and,
So, yeah, but that gives us an idea.
Right.
Okay, anybody got any other questions? Not appreciate it. Thank you. I think you answered a lot of questions, so
Thank you.
that helped a lot.
Appreciate it.
Gave us a. All right, next thing is the electric rate studies.
That's still ongoing. No update there.
Okay.
And just waiting to hear back, get their details on that. Just speaking of which, that was another one of the items that
Okay.
where we fell. I'm kind of pushing that into the next budget too, just because of not knowing when them fees are gonna fall. And then under the succession planning, there's nothing there.
Okay.
No update at this time.
Right.
I am in the process of updating that, but no major changes at this time.
Okay, under new business, I'd like to make a motion. We approve prior month's meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the pump shop proposal for the golf course lift station upgrades.
Yes, this is just a proposal, but I do have the money figured into the budget for the next fiscal year. Just wanted to get approval so we can get moving on parts. This is to redo the rail system and add new chopper pumps, just like what we did at Taylor Street recently. As Taylor Street and the golf course lift station are by far the two they get the most flow, because Taylor Street gets pretty much everything from this half of town, and golf courts get everything from this half of town, you know.
This is
So-
basically right down there at the bottom of number one.
Correct.
Down there. at the
Down
creek.
there at the creek. So this is just a proposal that Bunny's included in the budget, would just like to get moving forward so they can get materials ordered.
Okay.
We can get moving on that, and it would just fall in next year's budget.
I make a motion, we accept proposal from Missouri Machine for not to exceed 60,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is for a Fletcher Reinhardt proposal for,
Unfortunately, I was not able, we haven't worked out, got all the details worked out. I don't have a proposal for you at this time. I am working with Chris Taylor.
okay,
With Fletcher Reinhardt on that. Hopefully, we can have something at the council meeting. This is for the development in the East Industrial, Reba Business Park. Some equipment is part of that. And just wanted to get that in front of you guys. Once I can finally get them details worked out. I hopefully should try and work to have on something at the council meeting for formal approval to get that order, because there is a significant lead time for that piece of equipment.
okay. Next item is training request for Daniel Kester at the IMEA Power Plant Operator Seminar on May 16th, not to exceed $300. I make a motion, we approve this training request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next thing is the annual conference on May 15th and 16th.
This is just the annual IMEA conference. Just wanted to, it's free for anybody that wants to go. Otherwise, if you need a room, but anybody's wants to go, they can. Just you'd have to let me know. We can fill out. I just, if you want to approve for myself, city officials to attend, I can get registrations turned in, but this is their annual conference that they have in Springfield.
Okay. So I guess I'll make a motion that if anybody wants to attend the annual conference and trade show in May. Is there a cost with this, or is it just?
The cost, there's no fee for IMEA members. It
Okay.
would just be the only cost is if whoever may be going for, hotel or whatever.
I guess so
Once I kind of know, I can always sit there and say, okay, we need to come back and say approve a different cost, but just kind of
Okay.
wanted to put this out for you guys that
Yeah.
this is out there.
See if there's anybody interested in it.
Okay.
All
right, so really nothing to approve. it's
Nothing
just-
real, I mean,
All
I
right.
will probably go, but I don't know if I'll stay up there, so it's kind of
Yeah.
one I may just go, kind of type of thing, so.
Okay. Next item is that we have Tom Coverly is writing his letter to bring notice that he's retiring on April 1st, 2025. It's been a great opportunity working with the Red Bud Utilities for 17 years as a lead lineman of the electric department. Thank you for your support and opportunities, Tom Coverly.
Yeah, and I would like to add too that, publicly thank him as well for his years of service and for his contributions and effort to make our electric system the best it can be. And I want to wish him nothing but the best in his upcoming retirement.
So what do we decide? It's up to them. What kind
Yeah,
of
that is
retirement
correct.
gift we give them now?
No, it's monetary or the coins,
Okay.
based on years of service.
So
And
with that,
we'll just work with the details on Liz on that, so.
I'll make a motion that we accept the retirement of Tom Coverly.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next thing is the approval of Hunter Bauer's 12-month step pay increase.
Yes, this is just part of whenever he was moved into the water sewer technician position, we did a 6-month and a 12-month step increase. This is just the 12-month step increase of the $2.50 per hour to get to that actual full rate. And this would start with the April 16th pay period. So that's obviously after the council meeting, which is the first full pay period after the council meeting.
So I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other public comments?
I do want to thank Josh and the city. I mean, we didn't lose power and, there was nothing on the lines, nothing like that.
Very
So
minor. We had
appreciate that.
on H Circuit, back behind Ultra Site off of Kennedy, we had a connection from where it goes from overhead to underground to actually feed like the Hidden Oak section. That come on, but once we were able to locate that, we were able to get H Circuit back on with the exception of that. But I think by the time they were on that, they had that repaired in an hour or so. So after they were able to locate that. So I mean, we dodged a bullet.
Yep.
And but I do appreciate the guys for what they had to deal with that evening.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Not, I move to adjourn at 7:13.
Hey, thank you. Darren, you do not have to stay for the rest of this. You are free to go.
We are gonna call you out as you walk out.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Okay, next up will be zoning committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Myself, Giebert, Schwarzkopf, Demond, and Nevoy all present. Nothing under old business, new business. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Just have a training request for Jeff to go to the 2021 International Residential Building Code. Not to exceed $673. Nothing additional to add with that or anything, right?
Right now, we have the 2003 IRC, International Residential Code. The state is requiring that we upgrade that. So we're gonna jump 18 years more than likely to the 2021. And this course is designed to highlight what those changes actually are and just give you a better understanding, let you hit the ground running, so to speak.
Jeff, does the 2021 require sprinkler system in residential?
It does. My anticipation will be that there are several things in that code that I think if and when we do adopt that code, we eliminate those, or we not include those in our motion.
So we can go ahead and eliminate things, or if we,
We can adopt the code. I'd fall to the attorney, but we can adopt the code and
exclude,
different parts of the code. I've been meeting with the group, Monroe County, Columbia,
Okay.
Waterloo. And that's what they're looking at doing as well. There's
Okay.
3 or 4 different things they're looking at.
Yeah, because there's a couple items in it that are.
Yeah.
yeah, we want to make sure we're definitely updated on
As well
things
as
that
hard to do.
And
before.
what I'm hoping to do is, as a group, I've also spoken with Sparta and Chester, that we all kind of fall under the same guidelines so that local builders in the community, it won't be what's this town doing, what that town do, that we're all kind of in the same,
Sure.
under the same rules.
So how does that work though? Because like dealing with ASME and our piping codes, we can't just elect not to follow something or, wouldn't that put the city at responsibility if there's a
we could-
fire and a?
We could adopt the code in full. We could adopt the 2020, I think 2024 is coming out with a new code. We could go back to 2015 if we wanted to. So my recommendation, I'm leaning very hard toward 2021 and following the area's recommendation.
Interesting. We just, like, if we have a code, we have to follow the code. We can't pick and choose. That's odd that.
Anybody have anything else? I would like to make a motion to send Jeff to that training, not to exceed 673.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Any public comments or anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I will adjourn the zoning committee at 7:16.
Okay, next up is recreational facilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Myself, Hannibal, Nevoy, Peel, Demond are all present. Called to order at 7:16 under old business. The city pool, building maintenance, roof proposal, from Daryl Sauger, painting and staining. Oh, I'm sorry, from Glant Roofing LLC. I guess we just need to decide how we want to move forward. I personally don't have a problem with it. We need to, maintain our buildings, in my opinion. So is there any discussion?
Josh, I know I forwarded you Mike Garrett's number. Did you get a chance to talk with him?
I did speak with him and so kind of got an idea, game plan together, what we need to do. So I'm told him I've already talked to our support guys trying to figure out, okay, timing on, let's get that down. How much water, because we got to take it down. We'll clean it as we take it down. Then we'll have to try and get water back to the pool, have so much in there so then we can run the pumps. I did speak with him about it. And I said, as we get closer, I touch back with him and specifically then talk to his guy that would do it just to make sure we're all on the same page, because we want no surprises when they show up. We want to make sure that it's ready to go for them. They say, well, we need this done. So, but I did speak with him about what we need to do.
Okay.
And as for the roof proposal part of it, we had the one from Glant roofing. I did get quotes from two other firms as well, Jim Taylor and Martin, but Glant is the lowest.
Okay.
And Rodney has used, we hadn't used him for the city. Rodney, I know he said he's used him. I think he did Ultra Sites building is what
Yes, he
Rodney
did.
had told me.
He
So
did all stuff too, yeah.
Okay, and then it has on here to add another 1,000 for the.
for the seamless gutterings, because I did include that whenever we did for the other proposals to add that in there. So that was figured into there. So that was a last minute kind of
Okay.
change to add that in there for that roof proposal.
So 22,000, not to exceed 22,000.
That'll be for that one.
Okay. In saying that, I would make a motion not to exceed 22,000 for the Glant roofing proposal for the pool house.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The next item is tuck pointing proposal from Daryl Sauger Painting and Staining.
Did we not?
Did we already approve this?
This was already approved, yes, but I wanted it on here because just so you're aware, I did re-ask him to make sure since it was approved, we held off because of the issues. The cost has not changed. However, because there could be a potential for some donations for materials, this would be max. It could possibly come down because we could get some donated paint. So I just wanted to make you aware that this was approved along with, I don't think the German was approved, but I know the walls were. But just so you're aware on the painting and tuck pointing, obviously we don't want to do that until the roof's repaired.
Right.
But that was previously approved, yes, but I did verify that the cost proposal is still good.
Okay. So no action taken, or do you want me to just redo it just to?
I mean,
Oh.
we already approved it, so,
Okay,
I mean,
no action taken. Okay.
Yeah.
With the hopes that the cost comes down. Okay, thank you.
and I don't recall if we had any action on the wall repairs from the interior.
No, this is new.
I mean, I know we had the proposal, but I think at the time we didn't take any action.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna do it, this needs approval,
Okay.
the masonry.
For
This is the
masonry
4 inch.
estimate. Okay. Then do you have anything that you need to add for the masonry proposal?
No,
Just that
I
we get
did
it done.
verify, even though this is dated 11/14, I did verify with Chris French with German Brick that pricing is still good as well.
Okay, then I will make a motion to accept from German Brick Contractor Incorporated not to exceed $3,100.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one is 2025 management flyer.
I'll take that a little bit since
Okay.
Jill's not here. There's a 2024 in your packet just for reference, and then the 2025 in your packet was a little fuzzy, so you should have had an updated flyer at your seat. I believe we kept the season pass amounts, the daily pass amounts, those amounts are all the same. We did the same season of the Saturday before Memorial Day through I guess it would be the Sunday when school starts again, which is August 10th, a little bit early as it was last year. We did change the ages up slightly from last year. You'll see those in the bottom right corner of your handout. And Liz, I think you had checked too with our insurers and that as far as ages and that we got a little bit more leeway, a little bit more wiggle room here than when the Y was operating the pool.
Yeah.
So just wanted to give you some basics of what we had come up with thus far. If anybody has any questions.
The next item is the sand issue update, further investigation.
That's what Rodney
Kinda
Rodney just
covered
asked
that.
about, yeah, so that's in progress.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the Rats Park parking lot. I know we discussed it last meeting. The the project itself is we have 65,000 in the budget for it. The current quote is just under 60,000. And then the Trost Plastics dumpster enclosure comes in at just over 7,500. I personally would like to move forward on it. With the thought of, we have 65,000 in there, it comes out to be approximately 75,000 total. And then use 10,000 from Henry Thielen Fund to cover the dumpster enclosure or the extra cost that's not in the capital plan. Any discussion?
I don't have a problem moving forward with it, but not at this time. I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we get a couple minutes, figure out where we're at with the pool. And, you know, we may need extra money there or something. I mean, I know it's in the capital plan. But the capital plan is not, I mean, it's not, we can take that money and move it anywhere and do other things with that.
I mean, I understand that, and I get it, but this money was designated for this project when we did the splash pad, knowing that we were gonna eventually do that, and to me, this money has
I
nothing
understand
to
that.
do with the pool. And
But-
I would like.
But at that point in time, we didn't have all these unknowns out there that we have now.
I understand, but we also just, you know, we just approved to do a roof for a pool that we don't know is gonna
Well,
be there.
that's a building that we have to maintain no matter what.
Right, and to me, this is a parking lot that we have never maintained, so I would like to see it get done. I get it, I respect it.
So Bill, are you thinking we would have to potentially take money from
I'm
some of
not-
these other,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
potentially?
We don't know. We don't
Okay.
know where we're at. You know, I mean, if they come back and tell us that, you know, we're gonna spend 60 grand on that pool, and I don't know what we got in the capital plan right now or whatever. You know, if we need an extra 20 or 30 grand from somewhere, we may have to wait with that parking lot for a year.
But we do have 100 in there. And then I
Well,
guess we
but I
should
mean, it still
subtract,
doesn't,
right, and we do
my
not
point
know.
is, if we got 100 in there and they come back and tell us we need 120 to fix it. You know, where are we gonna get the other 20? It's gotta come somewhere out of the capital plan to do that. Yeah, like I said last month, I don't have. a
Well,
problem-
I mean, if that's the case, then we could pull from any other capital plan that we're not moving on at the moment. I mean, we have 100,000 for playground equipment for Lincoln Park, then we could go down that road. I personally would like to see this project go forward and get it striped and have it look good. And I don't know where everybody else is. I mean, I'd love to hear some feedback.
I think. the
Or
parking lot
motion.
needs-
Somebody wants to
I
make a
think the
motion.
parking lot needs
I
some
don't
service. I
argue
think
that
it
at
needs
all. You
Sooner
know,
rather than later.
I agree. I think it's a wonderful project and make that park look a whole lot better. But I'm just not sure the timing of it is my issue. I don't know what everybody else thinks. If everybody else is in favor of it, you know.
My thoughts are a little bit with it. I mean, like you guys are saying, obviously it needs to be replaced, but it is gonna see way more traffic coming up very, very soon. Hopefully, with the new splash pad, I got a feeling there's gonna be a whole bunch of people out there.
Yeah.
So that's why I wonder if now is the right time to do it, you know, so we can get it looking nice for the, you know, and more usable for the people at the splash
Yeah, and
pad.
bringing dirt, bringing rocks from the parking lot onto the splash. I think that's a perfect time to do this, is to clean that up, and
Yeah, that's just my opinion, but
mine too. I think we should.
If you do pave the parking lot, what happens to records, as cans?
Lincoln Park.
They're easier to smash.
They're flatter. There's
he
less
was
gravel
able-
in it. You can lose
Mike,
some weight.
he was told that, well, there may be an end to it at some point, so just keep that in mind.
He'll have to go to Lincoln Park
There you go.
Yeah.
or Lions Park.
Okay.
I'll make the motion. I'll make
It
the,
makes me no difference who wants to do it.
then I'll make the motion. We accept the, you want one at a time or 3 bids?
Well, how would you like to have the motion made? Since,
Bundle them? Bundle them.
Bundle.
okay,
I'll make the motion that we accept all 3 bids for the parking lot, the dumpster pad and the fencing.
do we need a separate motion using Henry Thielen funds to cover
Yes.
that? Okay,
I would say so.
Yeah, because that has to be approved by the heirs.
with it, just do these 3 and then make
No.
a second motion for that? Okay.
These two ones.
So we have a motion to accept the 3 bids to redo the parking lot. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then I would make a motion to utilize Henry Thielen funds to cover the cost that exceeds what we currently have in the capital plan for this project, not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
Now, does
All in
that,
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mike, you checked into that. What is
The two people now that we have to contact are, his, what's his name's daughter and daughter-in-law. Lauren's daughter and daughter-in-law are now in charge of that. Yeah, they're the people now in charge of.
okay,
Henry Thielen
so
Fund.
before
have
we
to
can
get
spend
their-
that money,
We have to get their.
Somebody-
Well, I'm not on that, I'm not of that understanding. Once they give us the money, we're the stewards of the money.
No,
I think
we
as a
always-
courtesy,
we
we
always had
have.
to get
I
approved.
think as a
to use it.
courtesy, we have.
But that-
Right.
just
I don't know if it's a
automatically comes-
Yeah,
requirement.
anytime we spent any of that, we always went to Lauren
Yeah.
and he said, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And I would assume that's probably what. this
Yeah,
girl
because I don't
did
think
too,
I don't think the estate documents or the trust documents call for that, but as a courtesy, I believe
No,
we
I
do
think
it.
they do.
Well, you just had them check that out.
Because I had Rick look at them.
Yeah, but we can, as a
Few
courtesy, of
months back.
course, reach out to them, to Kathy and
Yes,
Susie.
exactly.
Yeah.
If they would say no, couldn't we just pull from other capital funds like we could for anything else?
We'll find a spot.
Okay, I was just wondering, I mean.
Okay.
Not without a motion.
It's just a question.
Did I make a motion and approved and vote for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're square. Okay. Under new business, I make a motion to approve prior month's meeting minutes from February 17th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under splash pad signage with rules, baby changing stations, remove backflow preventer, I guess. The first one be signage and rules. Mayor, do you have something that you're wanting to elaborate on this?
Jeff probably can speak to this. He had prepared a list that's in your packets of the proposed sign.
I just simply went online and I looked at a bunch of different communities' rules they had, and I picked out the ones I thought applied to us. What I'd like to do is, make like a no parking sign type of sign down there, have it blue, listing these rules, and we mount it to the fence.
Okay.
And I do that at Total Eclipse.
I had a question about the rule. I don't know I haven't been out to it. What's the actual pad? Is it concrete or is it like a soft membrane?
It's
type?
concrete. It's concrete.
Okay, so like gum and sunflower seeds won't affect it or anything. That's what I was more worried about.
Well, it's not desirable, obviously, but
Okay.
yeah, it could be removed.
Okay.
I have a problem with the age. A 6-year-old by themselves at the splash pad just seems to me that, I don't know, I think it should be older.
It's a proposal, Mike, so we can
Yeah, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I would,
have a
Thank-
suggestion.
Huh?
Have a suggestion?
I
at
mean,
least
there's
8.
there's no chance of drowning, but you should.
I know,
a
but-
6-year-old.
but-
You need to have
But-
some
but-
supervision.
Say the kid falls
Right.
and breaks his arm. Who are you? We don't know.
No, that's fine. Would it make it 8? I don't, that's fine.
8 at least, yeah.
And if you,
I would say eight or even 10. I mean, because if not, you don't have anybody, I mean, I get it, but you still have to have some supervision for kids.
If you want to mimic what we've proposed for the pool, it says children aged 10 and under must have an adult or parent approved supervisor. So if you want to match.
Might as well make them the
I-
same,
yeah.
yeah.
Consistent that way.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, we'll make it.
and the
10.
other thing, Jeff, if you're gonna change some of this, you may want to put something in there about snacks or. I mean, I know it says no glass containers, but. Do we really want them carrying?
Like
cans
no
of
food or
sugar
drink
around
on
or
the
bag of
splash
chips
pad.
or?
And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, we went there after they opened it and there was kids in there with wiffle ball bats and things like that. And it just, to me, it was poor that other parents were like, it's okay for that, but there's probably a few things that we could probably brainstorm and clean
you
up,
look-
or if
can-
it's an issue, we'll add to it down the road.
Can you look
Yeah.
at Freeburg or some of these other towns, see what they may have? As far as signs and some of theirs and, I'm sure that these towns have learned.
Sure.
Yeah, we had looked at Waterloo's because they've got signage and signage and signage and signage.
Well,
I'm just saying, I'm just saying more so you don't forget something too.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you guys see something that you want changed or added to this, I'm all ears. I'm no expert by any means, I'm kind of less rules is more type of person.
Right.
But,
Okay,
But the number one rule probably should be use common sense.
Yes.
that would be.
number two. is number one.
You could add something general in there. There's this complaint that like when we show up with the police that we could say, oh, well, this is dangerous. You can't have it on there. You know, just a general rule of some sort that just leaves it where you can determine it.
Sure.
That makes sense. Like a wiffle ball bat's probably not a good thing to be swinging around in a splash pad. But
Right.
Yeah,
So-
the only thing I saw was squirt guns. Kids had squirt guns in there, so.
So if they break these rules, what's the punishment? There's nobody watching it to say that they can't come back the next day or come back the next 10 days and do the exact same thing. What's the,
I agree. It's.
There's really no way to enforce it.
well, that's what I was wondering. I mean, is there anything that we can enforce?
I mean, if we put in there, if you don't abide these rules, the local law enforcement can have you leave the park or.
we have a schedule that, like the first offense, you leave for the day, the second offense, you're out for a week. The third offense, you might be out for a month, and it just gets worse as we go along.
There is a camera on the splash pad and there will be night lighting added. We're working on that as we speak, so.
Okay.
Well, and if one issue becomes a problem. we'll
So
let
you
them
can go
guys
back
take
and
it.
Yeah,
look
this
at
whole
it.
thing's
Somebody
gotta be
can.
flexible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're
I
learning.
was
as
just
we
wondering
go.
in general,
Yeah.
because it's not fenced off. I didn't know
Right.
what the.
It'd just be like any other vandalism, I imagine.
Okay.
Well, I'll hold off with this and if I'll try to come up with a little more and if you guys have anything, shoot it and we'll talk about it next month.
Okay.
In the baby changing stations, are we all in agreement that we ought to add those to the restrooms?
Yes.
Okay, I did look on the internet, they're a little under $500 a pop, our guys could put them in. Again, we could pass tonight or maybe next month, or just, up to $1,100 to buy 2 baby changing
Was there-
stations.
Did you not at one point say there might be some extra money with what Dietrich gave us or not?
But I haven't seen it yet. But
Yeah,
you're right.
well, I thought at one point you said you thought there
There-
might be enough money to do.
There is, I put that
Yeah.
in my Friday update. We can wait and see. Again, that's not anything we need to do tonight, just something I was thinking about.
I can't believe it wasn't a requirement when that bathroom was built.
I'm surprised we don't have them in every one of our bathrooms in the parks, and I thought some were. We probably need to look at all that.
I
But,
think Josh did start to look at that, but some of the structure of the walls was questionable, right? Okay.
okay,
And the backflow preventer situation, Vortex are toy people. They still insist that it works on paper. I've informed them that it doesn't, and they've kind of ghosted me now. They don't return calls, they don't accept texts, nothing. Farnsworth has stepped up. They had one of their mechanical engineers look at it. And these RPZ valves that we have in there, there's 2 parts to it. It's a backflow preventer and then a pressure reducer. And what the mechanical engineer is recommending as a first step is to remove the pressure reducer, just straight pipe the backflow preventer. The backflow preventer is required by Illinois plumbing law. And they think that'll get us about an additional 20 PSI max. And if that's the case, we should be running it at 100%. As a fallback, they have volunteered that if it comes down to it, they'll let us know what pump to put in. And I've spoken with EJ Roscoe when we get that far. If we get that far and have to have the pump, he would get us a proposal to do it. I'm not happy with it, but that's kind of where
Well,
we're
I
at.
mean, where do we stand with Vortex? Is it, we try send them a nasty letter or do us any good?
In my experience, letters do not do much good, unfortunately. Yeah, and we discussed the fact of the matter is, if we wanted to, we could try arbitration. That's probably gonna take 3 days at $1,500 a day for an arbitrator. $5,000 you're looking at. If you go to court, that's gonna cost at least $5,000. They are a Canadian company, so that also adds
Buy a
an
new phone,
extra.
Put it in there.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at.
Have we
So-
paid their bill full?
I'm sorry,
Have we fully paid their bill?
we have. Yeah, our bill to them was due upon delivery.
Delivery, not,
Yes.
oh,
Okay,
sounds like they knew something.
all right. So Jeff, what do you, for the baby changing stations?
Bill is right. I think we should wait and see.
Okay,
If Parks has that money.
okay. And then what do you need for the backflow preventer right now?
I guess that's just to accept the donated money from the foundation, Mayor. Is that what this is?
No, he's asking about the
No, I'm
backflow
asking about the
preventer. Do you need a not
backflow
to
preventer. Do you
exceed
need-
so you can go
I'm
forward?
sorry. I don't need anything. That was just information.
Okay, thank you. The next item is, accept the donations for the shade features. You have anything you want to throw out there or?
I mean, pretty much thank you to Dietrich's Bank. Part of the Community Foundation, we approached Dietrich's Bank and they graciously gave us a large sum of money to put all these shade features. So it was in local paper. Thank you again to them because that was unbelievable.
Then I will make the motion to accept the donation on the shade features.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Kyle, one other thing I forgot to put on here. I presume we'll more or less follow an opening date for the splash pad of probably Memorial Day weekend. And then we wouldn't have to close it when school starts. We could roughly say Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend. 'Cause people are actually starting to ask about booking parties and when it's gonna be open, so.
I
Whenever we
would
can
say
run it.
Memorial Day until Jeff decides we need to close.
Yeah.
We weren't gonna allow parties.
Well, people are just like wanting to book the
Pavilions.
pavilions and then coincide a party that if the splash pad would be open. But you are correct, Mike. We're not allowing parties on the pad. So, so basically open Memorial Day weekend and then close sometime after
I mean,
Labor Day as the
is it something
weather.
that you could do on the weekends in May if it, I mean, all of a sudden the weather's,
Probably depends when they get it winterized and some of these, past
In
some of these
reality,
issues.
once we get past the freezing nights, we could open it up.
I was gonna say, if it's.
I'm just
cold,
asking
nobody's
like
gonna use
the last 2 weekends in May,
Well,
schools
Wanna do
ready on the
May 1?
weekends only, is what I'm saying.
you want to do May 1?
it. Yeah, okay, I mean, sure.
Yeah, because I mean, middle of May, the.
I'm just saying the
kids out of
weather
school,
could
it's very
be
warm, yeah.
Yeah.
hot that you could do it in weather permitting May 1 or
Okay,
something.
Sure.
okay.
Kids don't
And
feel
that-
temperature.
Josh, your folks could get that de-winterized, for lack of a better term.
It only takes about an afternoon to
Okay.
winterize.
What about this backflow preventer and booster pump? Is that
That'll be
something?
done.
Okay,
That's a couple hours.
okay, so we can look at a May 1st opening, kind of weather permitting, and then we'll run to at least Labor Day and beyond weather permitting.
Perfect.
And then 8 hours a day,
We ran 10 to 6, I think,
10 to 6.
but that's flexible too. It's.
Right.
Okay.
You go 10 to 8 or.
Yes.
11
Yeah,
to
'cause you're-
8, whatever you
Yeah,
wanna do.
summertime, you're gonna have daylight yet at 8
Yeah.
o'clock, so 10 to 8.
Couldn't it run during the park hours?
And you
During the
may have,
summer?
well.
'Cause you're gonna
depending
have
on what
lighting there
happens, that
now.
May have to be adjusted a little bit for water usage too.
Yeah, because the longer you
Sure.
run, the more water you're
You
gonna
know.
use, so.
If it's
If
does
it's
wa-
running,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would say if it,
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Nobody's there, no water goes.
okay, that's,
I
Okay.
think when we did our estimating, we figured 8 hours a day, but again, that's actual run time. That's not open time.
right.
Sure.
So 10 to 8?
Okay with me.
Sure.
Okay,
start with that.
we can start with that at least, and I've seen Jeff do it. It's
We-
fairly easy to adjust.
We could adjust it. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
The next item is a consideration for an OSLAD grant for Lincoln Park. This is, I guess, wanting to know if that's something that the council wants to pursue. It's been over 20 years since Lincoln's been developed and, thoughts? I'm in favor of it, obviously. I mean,
Susan and I talked about it, and basically, if you look at the capital plan and if we follow everything in there, we'd be spending some money in there the next few years anyways. It's not been quite that long ago that it's been like 17, 18 years ago when we did the trail and football field and
I think that was 06.
That could be.
Yeah, I only say that
was
because.
under Oslag also.
That was an Oslide grant
Yes,
also,
it
right?
was.
So I mean, yeah, it's been 25 years since the original,
No, it's one, yeah, because
Yeah.
we had to get permission
but
to do the
I
pickleball
mean-
courts at the time, and now we don't have to.
I mean, all you're looking for now is just, can we apply for a grant?
This is just, would you be willing to? We need to work, the booklet's not even out. I'm using like last year's booklet, but if you guys are in favor of us doing some research, because and just starting the process, that's all the question is this
Yeah,
evening.
well,
So,
when did it start? 7/1, so, you know, if you want to wait a month or two till you find out exactly what,
yeah, I just didn't want to go through the
the
effort
details of it
of
all.
doing the research if you
But-
guys were not in a, you know,
What's on the list of things to do, I guess?
it's in your packet.
Well, oh, I didn't
Yeah.
look at I did, but
And these are just my ideas.
there's too much paper in here.
Yeah.
there was.
Eventually, we'd have to go out to the public and do, remember
Yeah.
Jeff, how we did those forums and stuff? I mean, people may have other ideas. These are just things I threw on a piece of paper.
But, yeah, I mean, I guess, go ahead and start.
Okay, so
Kinda looking at it.
do a little bit of research and we come back to you. Okay.
Yeah, continue to move forward at the
Okay.
moment.
I didn't want to do research and then find out the group didn't want to do it, so.
And Mike says wait till after May, and Ben says wait till after May. so.
Oh, yeah, that's not a problem.
By the time I got that far,
Okay, next item is public comments. Anything good to the order? I only have one question. Josh, the garden, spigots for the hoses down at the community garden.
They've been on, they never were off.
I was,
The water,
mhm.
I went out there the other day and turned them on.
I was out there Saturday and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And the other one was flipped up. So are they on that?
It was when I checked it the other day. I think they went out there because maybe the water meter, they might have had to change the water meter, but I got a call from Christie. And I went out there and flipped the handle up on the east side and it started flowing water, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check her.
And I need to call Matt, and we're gonna try to get those
Boxes.
boxes done before the end of the month.
Oh, great, thank you.
Okay.
And then, and
Great.
speaking of that, just so you're aware on the community garden, since we do that, I get a hold of Brian for the topsoil, so.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Anybody have anything under public comments? Hearing none, I will adjourn at 7:45. Thank you.
Okay, and of our marathon evening, we've got one more to go.
Yeah. I'll call executive session to order at 7:45. Myself, Damon, Nevoy, Peel, and Hannibal are all present. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes from September 16th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. I would like to also make a motion to go into executive session or to recess into executive session for the purpose of the semi-annual review of the past meeting minutes under 5 ILCS 120/2C21.
7:45.
Oh, I don't need a second or any.
I'm sorry.
I was ahead of. I'd like to make that a motion.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's go.
Sorry. I probably wear that title.
First time in 6 years I've had to extend the view.
That's the idea. So he's in the water now. And he's pushing it and his hands are over the rest. It's not the water, it's essentially. So. If you think that this is your tower. You can figure right here's your bowl, right? You have your bowl, and there's a fill pipe inside. You bubble out, that bubbles up, so like when you come out, there's a fill pipe that you climb up through the middle of the tank now. You gotta shut the water down. So like, you got, so when you walk through, you're climbing up through this step. All the way to the top, so you're actually climbing through a pipe that goes through the center of the hole. Right. If that were to come in, water's gonna rush in, obviously, you're going with water completely around you. Once you get further up past that, where the water level isn't at, there's a spot where it's rusted through. Detail. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. That doesn't mean horrible. No, but it's not time to do this. No, I get that. No, I understand that. I'm saying. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I get that. Right, but you're not too. Bring in a little picnic. Like I said, I'm less. No, I get it. That's certainly. We knew it was coming. That doesn't want to. Oh, yeah. Screens. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, it just shows you. Sure. It doesn't say. You know, like that. In theory, this is. You can have. It's in glass. But it's in glass. But then you can look and see it. I wrote that map. It's and then it shows. Here. Okay. If you're a nuisance, we're gonna ask you. Here. Right. One kind of. Get closer and closer to the tank. What it's really. Cool. And you gotta figure when you look at letters like that. Right. Yeah, I'm so taken with that. Yeah, that would be good. So that's the premise behind it. I mean, alcohol and fireworks are not, you know, it's. It's work out. Yes. It seems. It makes sense to me. A lot of people. Yeah. And like you said, you know, for the year, they said. He said he's sick of that rate increase for the. Yeah, it doesn't say infrastructure. Sure. No. To pay for it. Right. I'm too, that's a thing, you know, so if you get into something like that, you're worried about, that's an option you can make. Right. As a, because we do it with the gas. When they put the big gas system in, they raise the matter from $1.85 to $2.85 for an X amount of period, and then it comes off, you drop it off. Because I've seen when people do that, they add something on there, they'll pay for it, and then. I think when you look at that, it's kind of like temporary. Many of them. So when do you think comes to check it? I gotta get the stuff working, so I talked to Stuart about this. What do we need to do? We can start. Clean it. So that's water. Oh, yeah. That would be. Pressure washer. You guys don't have to say trucks, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'd be like, you guys do sidewalks. Because maybe sidewalk is better. Yeah. No. But it's just a thought because we can't, I don't have as much to do that because there's no.
There was more than I thought there were. Oh. But, yeah.
Good.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
We return from executive session at 7:54 PM. I make a motion that we release the executive session minutes from March. May, May 17th, 2021, March 18th, 2024, April 15th, 2024, June 17th, 2024, September 16th, 2024, and September 16th, 2024. Under, do I have to say the, nope. So I'll make a motion, we release all those meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any public comments? Anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I close executive session at 7:55 PM.
Thank you. And thank you all for your attentive energy this evening. We got a lot done, so see you in 2 weeks. Or 3 weeks.